Welcome to the Sober Unicorn. We are a gay-hosted, all-inclusive podcast about sobriety and addiction recovery for the LGBT plus community and all of our allies. I am your host, Holden, and thank you for joining us today. Hey everybody, it's Holden, and I am back here with the Sober Unicorn. I hope everybody's doing well. Today, I am being joined by a very special guest by the name of Giovanni. How are you, Giovanni?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing well, just working and living life and staying sober. That's what we can do.
That's a dream. That's a dream.
So Giovanni and I actually met, I believe it was on TikTok. Um, I believe I followed you and like maybe you followed me or something, and then we just kind of switched over to Instagram. And he's hilarious on his TikToks. I would definitely recommend going and following him, which we'll share all the social media towards the end. Um, but I really liked his energy and everything. And you just celebrated how many years sober?
So I'll have 4 years on Wednesday, which would be the 8th. So in a couple days, I'll be celebrating 4 years of continuous sobriety.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
4 years is definitely a long time. I look forward to that day. So, why don't you give everybody a little bit of a backstory on who you are, like what led you up to getting sober, and how you kind of navigated early sobriety?
Okay. So my name is Giovanni. I am 36 years old. Um, what took me to sobriety? I think it really just came down to we hear the stories of feeling sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and I believe that for myself that was a true testament. I always try to um do it on my own, right, and really try to like cut back on my drinking and cut back on my using. um drug I mean I'm sorry, alcohol was eventually what took me out, but my story also does have drugs in it. And it really took me to a point of desperation to I decided that I needed to go to treatment because I tried killing myself the night before I checked into treatment. um and it wasn't till I checked into treatment and I decided to really actually listen for once instead of trying to be the director of my story, that I understood that everything that I was doing from a very young age to at the age of 32 was I was masking everything that I was feeling, every um, emotion, whether it was good, bad, happy, sad, emotional, manic, whatever it may have been. I was using drugs and alcohol to escape reality. And when I understood that and I found the fellowship that I'm in now, by the grace of God and by really doing the work and really understanding that it can't be done by myself, it took me to where I'm at now at almost celebrating 4 years of sobriety.
That's awesome. I know that many of us tried to do it by ourselves. I think for an entire year, I tried to do it alone, and that was just not cutting it out because doing it alone ended up at the bar still almost every single night.
Yeah.
And it wasn't up until I also found the fellowship that I'm a little bit over 7 months of continuous
Congrats.
sobriety. Thank you. And it's it's been a huge change. I mean, that is one thing that I think that sobriety has given me is a totally altered and different mindset about life, myself, and other people that are around me.
Yeah.
Um, so of course you're in California, am I correct?
Correct.
So I mean, there is, of course, there's two different demographics in California. I mean, I bet you anything they have a huge sober supportive community, but
Yes.
California is also very known for its party life. Um,
Yes.
so how do you navigate through that?
um so yes, California is known for the party life, the party lifestyle. um how do I navigate through that? Perfect example that I can give you is over the weekend, I there was a Dodger game and it's Pride week or weekend here in California. So I started off at the game, and my friends were drinking, and it's I think it took me a really long time to get to where I'm at, where I can be comfortable with somebody else, like doing whatever they're doing and not having it trigger me. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that for anybody else. That's what works for me. I have a strong support system. And I think what really helps me is every time that I think of like the either like the drinking or like using, I it takes me back to that night when I tried like, you know, unaliving myself, and really playing that tape back, right? How I felt, how miserable I felt, how I felt that I didn't belong, and I don't want to fuck that up for anything. Like it's not worth it. It's really not. Like um it's crazy because Demi Lovato was at that game, and I love Demi Lovato. Like I like love her. And then my friends were like telling me like, isn't she sober? So then they started bringing up the California sober thing, and that was the topic for something else with them. I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, let's just enjoy the game. Like, I'm here. But to answer the question in a nutshell, I just remind myself of how bad it was, and things are not gonna like drinking and using are not gonna make my problems better. It's gonna make it worse, and I don't want to do that. I have some good shit going on right now. So yeah,
No, 100%. I think like talking about celebrities, especially Demi Lovato, because I am in love with her as well, especially her latest album.
yeah,
Is for anybody listening that doesn't know Demi's story, she was California sober, actually made a whole song about it, but recently, I believe it was like 6 months ago, she was like, no, 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 California sober, at least for her. I'm not going to judge anybody else's sobriety, but for her, California, she's like, you cannot be California sober and be sober. So she,
exactly.
I believe, actually went back to rehab in order to get away from that as well. And now she's 100% sober. I mean,
Yeah,
let's hope she stays that way.
yeah. Let's hope. Let's hope, because I have high hopes for her. So yeah, totally.
Most definitely. And I know, so in the realm of sobriety, there are many things that could make us fall off the wagon or the beam that we call it. So fear is a huge thing when it comes to relapsing, when it comes to our futures, when it comes to fear of the past coming up and replaying itself. So it's like, what does fear mean to you, and what do you do to move past that fear?
What fear means to me? Fear is all of the ideas and all of the projections that are the complete opposite of what I am, right? Um, for me, my fears come in many shapes and sizes. Um, for me, the biggest thing was like the fear of other people, and fear of like being judged. Um, it's taken me a long time to really overcome my fears, and it does not happen overnight. I still have minimal fears, but like the major ones, like the anxiety, after a night of drinking, and like the anxiety to like be around people, like can they smell me, like do I look weird or anything like that, like that's gone, like that's done and over with. I think also like writing down my fears on a piece of paper and like going over them with my sponsor really helps, because it really identifies like, why am I feeling this way, like why do I have this fear, like what is in the middle of this fear that is having me stay stuck. But fear does not define who I am. Like if I let my fears take over, I know that it will eventually take me out, and I probably won't make it back in.
Yeah, I fear for me was a huge factor, especially going into like step 4. When I was in step 5, like my entire life, especially being a part of the community that is very judgmental, um, like I based a lot of what I did off of fear. It's like I
Yeah,
would get fucked up so I could talk to the next person because I was a fear of rejection. And
yeah,
if I was obliterated, that's probably why I got rejected because I was too damn messed up. Um, but it's the fear of, I think, not being good enough for other people
Yeah.
is what made me drink and ultimately made me not even good enough for myself.
Yeah.
And so fear plays a huge part. Like, I mean, of course, I'm a student,
Yeah.
and I fear failing my classes. Although
Yes.
I'm gonna fail one of my classes this semester, but it's totally okay because that class has been a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's but every time that I've spiraled out of control and almost given up everything that I've worked for was like when I call my sponsor and I was like, oh my God, I want to drink or use.
Yeah.
His biggest thing is like, bitch, like you're in fear.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like literally we're in fear and we let our fears take over of our mindset, and then we start thinking like, oh my God, I want to drink or whatever, use whatever it may be. And it's not a representation of who we are. It's a representation of what our disease wants us to be, which is a complete opposite of sobriety.
Yes, exactly. I think our minds, especially because we have experienced the disease, it's like our minds always want to pull us back to that just because
Exactly.
it wants to fuel the fire. It's I heard a quote last night. I went to a Lambda meeting in Dallas, and it said your disease wants you dead, but it'll settle for misery.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us, when we were in our active addiction, most of us were miserable as fuck.
Yes. Very
Al-
like,
Although we
yeah.
wanted to be like, ooh, we're happy, we're like dancing naked down the street, especially in LA and Hollywood. That's what I used to do a lot.
No, like you're it's like you hit it like right on the nail because for me I always felt like I had my shit together, right? Yeah, I drank a lot and I used a lot, but I had an apartment, I had a car, I had a functioning job. I was able to pay my bills for the most part. I had like racks and racks of shoes and clothes. So from the outside looking in, I look like a fucking like golden child. Like, oh, he has everything. He's happy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that song "Lucky" by Britney Spears. Like, literally, that's what like my life felt like. Right? Like everything was perfect, but like I would cry myself at night, like high as fucking, like just drunk, like just miserable, because I was really miserable. Like only I knew how I felt in the inside. Like I was so dead and broken inside that I felt like the easiest route and the easiest solution was for just to commit suicide because I didn't want to deal with this. I didn't feel like I would be able to sit here in front of you today and be have 3 years under my belt. Little alone, like could I have 3 days? So it's like it's the misery that comes from like the drinking and the using is fear. It's all our insecurities laid out on this table, and it's messing you up.
Yeah, especially now that you're able to identify fear more often. When do you, like, in what situations in your life specifically do you find fear creeping up the most?
relationships um relationships because I think it's a mixture of um my mindset where it's like a split second where I have a flashback of when I was drinking and using and cheating on my exes, or doing things that I wasn't supposed to with people that were probably in a relationship, to fast forward to now where I'm not doing that, um and having that fear of like, here I am, like really genuinely into this person, or I'm in love with this person, or I'm in a committed relationship with this person. And what if they're gonna go off and do that? So that's where fear creeps in. Um, but I really try not to let that get the best of me. It's kind of like you hear it in the rooms, like it's life on life's terms. And I really adapted that into my everyday life, not just with relationships or just with fear, just like with everything. Just life on life's terms. Because I have no control of what happens around me. I have control over what happens to me, like what I can do. Um, so it's mostly like with relationships, like romantical relationships and then friendships. Cause I'm like, one of my huge character defects is like I'm a people pleaser. So I like want to be well liked. So I want to make sure that I went above and beyond to make sure that um I can be an impeccable friend to you. But the truth be told is I can't do that because some people will not do the same for me. So I need to have that balance and that boundary for that.
Yeah, and you just need to like be true to yourself and authentic to yourself. And because like if you're trying to be this exemplary friend, the moment that you like come down off of that a little bit, their friends like, well, you used to do that for me. It's like
Yeah,
just be
exactly.
you, and if they like you, amazing. If they don't, then were they ever really a friend to begin with? Um,
Exactly.
but I get you with the relationship part. I mean, although for anybody that says you can't date within the first year, I think you go fuck yourselves. Um, my perception, if it's on the it's correct motivation and under spiritual minds, then it's okay. Like you
Yeah.
can't block love and human like want. But I've been single for 5 fucking years,
Yeah.
and I try to date, but I tend to attract everybody in open relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, like you can be open all you want. Like, praise to Jesus that it
Ah,
works for you in your relationship, but I can't even find myself going and putting myself into that situation just for fun.
yeah.
Because like, I want a relationship, and here you
Yeah.
are in that relationship, taking advantage of the open status to go boink whoever the fuck you want
Yeah.
and allow it. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna judge. I can go off on that forever, but I kind of have that fear of not finding anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gone to a couple gay groups, and I don't want to find somebody in the meeting. Like,
Yeah. Don't do that. So I listened to my sponsor. I didn't date till after a year, right? Because and I'm grateful that I didn't because I was like a fucking shit show, like in early recovery. I really didn't know what the fuck was going on and all this other shit. But then like I got into a relationship like maybe a year and like 3 months after that. And sadly it didn't work out. But I went in it with the wrong intentions. Like granted, I was interested in this person, but for me in my mind back then, I had this picture of, we're going to be this gay couple, this sober gay couple. We're going to be that poster child for gay recovery. And guess what, bitch? That's not what the fuck I got. I got something different. But listen, give it the time that it needs, like, give it the time that it needs to grow, furnish, whatever you need it to do, and then it will come. I know it sounds very cliche, and especially in the gay community, when you're trying to meet someone and you tell them that you're sober, they're kind of like, "What the fuck? Like you're sober? Like what do you mean you don't drink? So do you smoke? Do you snort?" Like, no, I don't do shit. It's really hard. So, like just make those friendships, make those connections. Eventually, something will come. Um, and I've been fine with like not being in the relationship because I think like I'm preparing myself to give myself 110% to whoever I meet. And, I can stay sober through thick and thin. So, don't rush it. Just give it time. Like 7 months is a long time to be sober, but give yourself the time to grow and understand and be you. Don't be dealing with those fucking open relationships. They suck. Like it's like that's being selfish. Like no hate to anyone that's in an open relationship. Do you? That's just my opinion. Like, no, that's not for me. I don't want that.
you're listening to The Sober Unicorn. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode is brought to you by Von Shine Creatives at handmadeandgreat.com. Von Shine Creatives is a sober owned business featuring finely crafted goat's milk and vegan soaps. Treat yourself or someone you love today. Take $5 off of 25 on all your purchases site wide, and remember, it's always free shipping. Use the coupon code SOBER, which helps support Von Shine Creatives and the Sober Unicorn podcast all at once. Link and coupon code will be in the bio. Now back to our episode. Yeah, same here. And I think it's, yes, I mean, I fully understand the concept of who you are in day one of sobriety and who you are a year later is a totally different individual. So, I
Yeah,
mean, the concept behind waiting that year is because you need to find who you are, for one, as a sober
exactly.
person. before you become dependent on somebody else and being that couple person now.
Exactly.
Um, and I'm not trying to find somebody in the rooms. I think I can date somebody not sober
Yeah.
as long as they're not like in full addiction.
Right.
Um, but I want that person to support my sobriety. I mean,
Yeah.
I normally
Exactly.
at least I normally tell people when they're like yesterday they got a guy hit me up and he's like, "Oh, we can go grab a drink tonight." And instead of saying sober, I just say, "Oh, well, I don't drink."
Yeah.
And then like it changes to like, "Well, I guess we can go grab a milkshake." And I'm like,
Okay.
if you want to drink, girl, like we can go to the bar. Like that's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
I'm at the point in my sobriety that I'm able to put myself into a bar
Yeah.
and be okay for at least
Yeah.
a few hours until like the midnight hour, and then it gets buck wild. I'm like, okay, time for me
Gotta
to get the
go.
fuck out of here. And it's normally
Yeah.
not most of the time it's not because of me wanting to drink. It's more of the not wanting to put up with the stupidity of a bunch of drunk people.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, it gets old. It gets tiring really quick after a while.
yeah, and that's why I chose not to do Pride this year. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
7 months in. Pride was this weekend, and I just like the only two prides I've gone to is Dallas and Los Angeles when I lived out in the area,
Yeah.
and I was of course annihilated in both events. So,
Yeah.
and Dallas Gay Pride is very sad. Um, LA Pride, at least they like shut off part of the city. It's like parties,
Yeah. It's like a
concerts.
big ass party. It's like a block party and like
Yeah,
it's pretty badass.
yeah, no,
Pretty
LA's Pride is incredible, and I think it has something for everybody, whether you're of age and wanting to go in the tent of 18 and older,
yeah.
or you're bringing your kids there. There's stuff for that too. Dallas Pride is more of a here's a parade, let's go bar hopping.
Yeah,
There's
no,
nothing else to it.
I went to Long Beach Pride because Long Beach Pride has always been like my pride that I like would go to religiously. And I was talking to my friends about this yesterday. Um, I went to Long Beach Pride. I had like a year and maybe 3 months sober, and I had the best fucking experience. I was asked to be part of the parade with my employer. So I walked the parade and I had the best time. I ran into one of my friends and she knew, like, I had told her that I was sober. I hadn't seen her in a while. And we got food, we got like snacks and all this other shit. And then it started raining. So it was like one of those fucking, like, I don't know if you ever saw that Come Clean, that video by Hillary Duff where it's raining.
I have
And
not.
so
I
I
have
was
to go
like,
watch it.
so it's kind of like that because it started raining at Pride, and it was just like so like empowering because I was like, fuck, like I'm here sober, and I'm like still able to have fun. So it was like, I don't know, it's kind of stupid, but I always reference back to that. So, but um, no, I think Pride, like you really have to be mentally prepared because you're gonna run into those situations where you're going to just enjoy yourself and you're going to be around a lot of drunk people, and it just puts you in a situation where you start feeling uncomfortable. So it's I would suggest, like, once you feel like mentally prepared for that, to deal with that, then go. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's always Pride every other year or every year, so you're good.
One, two, I think it's super important to take either a friend that knows you're sober,
Yeah.
and doesn't need to feel the need to drink, or
Yes.
take somebody from the fellowship. I
Yeah.
mean, I know for damn sure I went to a concert, Todrick Hall, a few months ago, and it
Hmm.
was gonna be like my at least my second concert sober. So I drug my sponsor along with me, even though
Yeah.
he's like this straight person going to a Todrick Hall show. I made sure to surround myself with people that like will make sure I don't drink. I heard again, I don't want to keep bringing up the group I went to last night, but it said if you ever want to stay sober, put yourself in the middle of the room, because if you
Yes.
surround yourself with people that are sober, if you ever want to drink, you will not even get the chance to hit the door.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like the same thing that they say out here. Um, Out here, I've heard like stay in the center of the boat. I never understood what the hell that meant. till like years, like maybe like not years, but maybe like a couple months after, I was like, okay, stay in the center where it's like everyone's around you and like they make this like little shield. And like it's true. Like like I've had people reach out to me. I've reached out to people when I felt some type of way. Um, I've jumped into a meeting. I went to Vegas last month for Lovers and Friends, which is like a 2000s like it was like Ja Rule, Shanti, 112, Maya, like all of those artists. And there was like alcohol everywhere. People were smoking weed. And I had a great ass time. I mean, I almost died of a heat stroke, but that's something different. But like, you have to surround yourself with those people that want to see you do good and see you be a better version of yourself. I went with my sister and she's huge on my like recovery. Actually, all of my family is. Um, and she we had fun. She drinks moderately. She doesn't like black out like I did or try to like fight a bear. So it was a good experience. Like I'm glad that she was able to enjoy it, and I wasn't that drunk brother like I was when I was in my active addiction. Taking my shirt off trying to fight somebody. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to surround yourself with those people that want to see you succeed and are really 100% behind your sobriety just as much as you are.
And don't ever try to fight like a gay bear because you'll just end up with a good time in their bed.
Right?
um,
Seriously.
so I know when I first stepped in the room, my biggest fear was losing friendships. Um, and I have lost plenty of them actually becoming sober, which is really sad that getting sober causes you to lose friendships. But did you lose any friends in sobriety getting sober? And are you grateful or sad that you lost those friendships?
Yes, I lost multiple friendships. For me getting sober. But I took it really hard at the beginning because like I'm a hoarder when it comes to my friends because if I let you into like my life and like everything about me, like that's really like I don't know what else love is if that's not love. But the way I look at it now is I really gained more than what I lost. Um, because yeah, I may have lost those like party friends or those friends before I got sober. But I gained so many other people that really care about my well-being and care about, me and my accomplishments. Um, I actually went back to school and I graduated last Tuesday. And, it's things like that where you know people from the fellowship were like, you should have told me, I would have been there cheering you on at your graduation and whatnot. And I don't take it as a loss with those friendships that I lost because they're missing out on things that I'm accomplishing sober, and I can't hold on to a resentment or feel some type of way because of that. It's just it came to a point where the friendship had no purpose. We had nothing in common anymore and we parted ways. So yeah, it was kind of sad, but I'm not crying a river over it. Like I'm, living my best life, doing what the fuck I got to do in front of me, and that's it. That's ultimately it.
So essentially just fuck them hoes.
For real. Fuck them hoes, but I don't want to make it amends, but pretty much.
Yeah, I lost a few friendships, but it just truly showed why they were your friends. I mean, it was a
Yeah,
friendship of convenience, a friendship
exactly.
because you both got fucked up together and you supported
Yeah,
each other's drinking.
yeah,
And so I feel a lot of times when people in recovery lose those friends, it's because the person still using can't look at you sober, knowing that they should get sober themselves. So that it's like
yeah,
it's kind of in a way that they're still in their misery while you're getting happy and getting sober. And it's like them kind of having to look at themselves in the mirror. And they don't
yeah,
want to do that. I mean, that's the one thing I think I avoided, especially when I was using
yeah,
other narcotics, is my eyes would start to sink in after like 2 days of being awake. And I would avoid that mirror at all costs because then I would
yeah,
like see how fucking hideous I looked for one.
yeah. Yeah.
And I would
No, I think sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Um, I think also another reason, like why the friendship just basically like dissolved is for me, and I've always said this from like after I got out of treatment, like my sobriety is gonna come first. Like I am not, don't put me in a situation where I can literally relapse because you're putting me in a situation. And the sad reality was that I was put in multiple situations. So I had to really decide, like, I need to get out of this because I'm not trying to go through this. And it gets to a point where the sorries, I'm sorry I put you in that situation, it's just not good enough. Like, so it's like you really don't lose much. And then, yeah, to piggyback off of what you said, yeah, I've understood that it's they don't want to realize that maybe they see something in themselves. So, but that's not for me to say, that's for them to decide. And like if they ever were to come back and say, hey, like, do you know where I can attend a meeting at, or what, or how can I get sober, like I'll lend that hand. But for now, it is what it is.
I think it's good to be an example of
Yeah,
being able to get sober and be happy and happy in sobriety because as the tradition state, it's attraction rather than promotion. And I
exactly.
think people that are still in active addiction, all they have to see, they just need to be attracted to you and the happiness that you have in your sobriety. Because, of course, following you on Instagram, girl, you're all over the place for one. Um, it's like I thought I lived a crazy, like, fun life, and here you are, like, all over the damn place.
Yeah. I owe it to my sobriety though. I honestly owe it to my recovery because I would not be able to do this had I been drinking and using. And I think that's what I have to keep myself in that mindset, is that everything that I have now, every single thing that I have now is great. I'm grateful for because of the steps that I decided to take to change my life around. Like these my Instagram is pretty much my diary. Like wherever I'm at, like I'm posting, and it would not be possible if I was still drinking and using, because Lord knows I didn't want to leave the house. I was like a loner alcoholic. Like I would drink myself to sleep by myself. And now it's like I can go and experience the outside world and remember what the fuck I saw, instead of like, damn, where did I park? And I don't know where my car's at. And then like, here I am 3 days later, still looking for my car.
Oh my God. See, at least, I mean, my car ended up at home, but I don't ever remember how I got it home.
Oh hell
Um,
no.
so I mean, I would have preferred losing my car because I wouldn't have put myself and other lives at risk by driving blacked
Yeah,
out. So of
yeah.
course, being that you're in the fellowship, what let me see, what was the hardest step for you to do, and how did you conquer it?
Hardest step for me was step 4. So step 4, when I was in treatment, everyone was like, "That's the scariest step." Like, so they put this fear in me, right? Um, but it was mostly like my sexual inventory. That was the hardest part for me because I'm writing down on a piece of paper of all the people that I have harmed and all the people that I had like slept with. And I had a really hard time with that. And I really told my sponsor, I said, I'm having a really hard time. And he said, why? And I said, because I'm putting all these names down and I feel like a whore. Like I really feel like like there was, he said, is it more than 10 people? I said, yes. He said, is it more than 20? I said, yes. He said, is it more than 30? I said, 32. And he said, well, damn. And then he's like, we both started laughing, right? But it's the way I had to overcome it and conquer it was, okay, I'm writing this shit down to move on with that. Like that's part of my past. That has nothing to do with the the Giovanni of today. Like this is not me today. So really writing everything down and going through it with my sponsor and actually putting in the work and completing that step was so uplifting, and so it took like a weight off of my damn shoulders, because damn it, there was a lot of people on that damn list that I really did wrong. But like what my sponsor said was, you have to remember, you're not a bad person. You were a sick person. So when he gave me that outlook, I said, okay, yeah, he's right. Like, I'm not here to harm anybody. Like, but at the same time, like, I can't blame it all on my addiction, because I can't say like, oh yeah, I was high or I was drunk the whole time. Like, but my mind was sick and I wanted to do what I did. I don't recommend that doing that now. People not don't do that now. That's not right unless they're in an open relationship and all parties consent. Um, but yeah, that was the hardest step for me, but I'm glad that I actually went through with it and came out on the other side.
Which is very good. I mean, you're lucky that you were able to remember their names. Me, unfortunately, my sexual inventory was very fast because I only knew about like 10 names, and then I said international hoes from all my traveling or domestic hoes, and my sponsor was like, "How many people have you slept with?" I'm like, I would say probably 700, if not more, because I mean,
Uh-huh.
when I was in addiction, especially with meth, um, I would do it for a weekend, and I was sleeping with anywhere between 30 to 40 people in one weekend.
Yeah.
And I would, yeah. So I mean, I don't remember their names. I didn't want to know their names. I just
Yeah,
needed that good,
exactly.
good. So
Exactly.
before you run out of time, what would you tell the LGBTQ plus IA LMNOP person that is still struggling today?
What I would tell you would be, um, it's not going to be easy. That's for damn sure. Um, but if you choose to stay and really work through your traumas and really talk to another individual and try to decide to conquer your traumas, your insecurities, your fears, you'll be given this life that never in your wildest dreams would you have imagined. And you'll be able to be who you are and still enjoy life, still enjoy pride events, still enjoy concerts, still enjoy clubs without anything that's going to alter your mind. And you'll be so damn proud of yourself at the end. And all your fears, they'll probably be minimized or demolished, but life will get easier. Connections will become second nature to you, and you'll find the love that we've been seeking as individuals in the LGBTQ plus community for such a long time. Um, and that's a gift in itself.
Yes, thank you so much for those words. So if anybody resonated with your story, and wants to get a hold of you or follow your TikTok or Instagram, how can they get a hold of you and find you?
So my Instagram and my TikTok are the same. It's I am the King of Hearts with a Z at the end, not a S. So it's I am the King of Hearts with the Z. And yeah, go ahead and follow me or send me a direct message if you need somebody to talk to. Um, Hopefully you resonated with whatever I said. If you didn't, I mean, there'll probably be another podcast or another meeting. But hey, here we are.
Yes, again, everybody, like I said, his Instagram is lit. It'll really show you that in sobriety that we are not glum, that we can have a ton of fun. And his TikTok is very sober comedy centric. So you can find kind of comedy in sobriety and learn how to make fun of yourself when you were in your past addiction. So again, I'm Holden with the Sober Unicorn, and thank you so much, Giovanni, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hit that follow button to be notified about new episodes every week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at The Sober Unicorn Podcast or on our website at thesoberunicornpodcast.com. There you will find our episodes as well as our very own sober-owned shop featuring products from small businesses that are sober-owned. And remember everyone, don't be normal, be a unicorn, but better yet, be a sober unicorn.